morning, everybody. My name is Phil Ike, and joining me all the way from Owosso are my two new friends, Lizzie and Erica. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Before we get into the subject of our conversation today, first I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about what you do. Lizzie, first up.
My name is Lizzie Frederick. I'm the Executive Director for Owosso Main Street and the Downtown Development Authority here in Owosso.
Amazing. Erica.
I'm Erica Madison, born and raised from Owosso, so business owner here and a member of the Hype Team.
The Hype Team. We're going to talk more about the Hype Team in just a second. But first, let's talk about the word vibrancy. In all of our communities, we throw this word out and we say vibrancy, or our community is vibrant, or we have to increase our vibrancy. And that can happen in so many different ways. Turning a bare wall into a beautiful mural, or turning an empty alleyway into an art installation, or places to sit with tables and chairs and whatnot. But a lot of times in our communities, one of the obstacles to that is funding. We have a great idea. We know we need to do something with that, but we don't have the funds for it. It can be even a small amount can get in the way of really creating more vibrant communities. And we're talking with you guys today because you received a vibrancy grant from Michigan Main Street. And I hear that you used it in a really, really interesting way. Typically, we think like placemaking and whatnot, but you took a really interesting approach to this vibrancy grant. So before we get into the specifics of how you used it, kind of take me back to the before. Like, how did this idea come about, or what was a problem that you were seeing that this vibrancy grant could help address?
So part of the Vibrancy grant included a lot of amount of funds for some marketing and influencer program. Essentially, we had some of the placemaking, we didn't have the people. So the vibrancy is to bring the people to our downtown. So we were able to kind of take a spin on that.
Oh, awesome. I love how you point out you can have the placemaking, you can have the murals, you can have the art, you can have whatever it is. But if you don't have people actually viewing that, they don't really exist. So walk me through the process of this idea. Give me the 101 of what you ended up doing.
We had about $2,000 with the Vibrancy grant allotted for an influencer program where there'd be gift cards that this small group of locals would be able to use the gift cards and support the small businesses, but also document it on social media. When we had the opportunity to expand upon that, we turned it into 3 different programs. So $2,000 transformed to $17,000 that we were able to put towards marketing and 3 individual programs, which did include that influencer program with the locals and gift cards and supporting the small businesses. That is our ambassador program, the Downtown Owosso Hype Team.
Hype Team. Erica, tell me a little bit about what you do as a member of the Hype Team.
Well, it's kind of funny when Lizzie came to me with this idea, I was already doing this, right? As a big supporter of Owosso in my hometown, and specifically downtown Owosso, I was always supporting local, shopping local, and talking about new businesses that were coming into our downtown. I was sharing about it on social media already because I'm proud of Owosso and what we're becoming. And so she was like, hey, I have this idea. Would you be open to it? It was like the quickest yes, I'm pretty sure, because I was like, yeah, like I love being, I am limited as an individual as like the funds that I can put back into the downtown, but being able to receive those funds to be able to do that from the DDA was a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, what a great way to support the work that you're already doing, because in every community, there's lots of Ericas, people who are all the way into the downtown. They love supporting local. They're already taking pictures of their food and posting and say, oh my goodness, I love this lunch so much. But one of the obstacles is I can't spend $100 a day like taking photos of this. But if that comes from someplace, like now I can do that. Super cool idea. Lizzie, this idea of influencer marketing, I love, because sometimes when communities start marketing work, they say, well, I'm posting to Facebook and Instagram every day, but we're not really getting traction there. People aren't really seeing these posts. And I think this approach of finding the people who already have an audience and then connecting with them connects you with their audience. And then, okay, cool. Now we're getting eyeballs. If you're just throwing posts out into the world and then hoping for the best, especially at the beginning, it doesn't really work. And so this idea of influencer marketing, yes, it's marketing, but you're also building an audience by using other people's audiences. And I think that's such a great idea. Erica, can you give me an example of like things that you do as a member of the hype team?
So what I do love about this is all the hype team members are going to have a different perspective. So I do love that. For example, if the DDA just had one marketing person, they're just looking at it from one lens. But by having like multiple people on these different assignments, like, hey, you focus on this business, you focus on this business, we're all going to look at it differently. And so for me, I love making reels. And so that's the content that I like to make because it's just what I like to do, but it's what I've been able to like create for the hype team for the downtown Owosso social medias to be able to like reshare. So someone might take it and just take really beautiful photos and create a post about this place with the beautiful photos, but I like to do video reels and some fun music and quick shots and that's, I just like that everyone probably does it a little differently.
Yeah. Lizzie, give me kind of the specifics of how it works from your end. Like what's the dollar amount? How often do you disperse that? How many people are on the hype team? Do they have like content requirements? Talk to me about that.
We had an agreement that the hype team member would sign that said their assignments, which businesses or which special events that they were going to be covering, and how many posts or videos or photos that they'd be doing. We had a business owner overseeing that program, so she helped recruit hype team members as I was also reaching out to people, and she would follow up with them. And between the hashtags and the hype team members tagging us, tagging the downtown Owosso social accounts, we were able to stay up to date with what everybody was doing. But we essentially they would check out gift cards like a library book. So they'd have a Visa gift card. And once we met one-on-one and talked through what assignments they were going to do, they could spend as much or little for each of those assignments. So it kind of flexed. Erica did a reel for a hidden pocket park. So she didn't necessarily have to spend much money, to go take a video of her having lunch or having a boba tea in the pocket park. But then she also went to a boutique and maybe purchased some clothing. So it just kind of varied on how much they spent.
I'm really intrigued by this idea because sometimes in our communities, we're like, we got to do marketing, people, everybody go to our page and share our posts and do that. And then you find out really quickly that that's not really what people do. Like they're not marketing people. Like they don't think that way, or they're not content creators. They're not running around the city with their phones creating reels. Like that's not their lane. And I think what you're doing with the hype team really translates to kind of the structure of Michigan Main Street, like the boards and the different committees. Like if you're into design, we have a committee for you. But if you're not into design, we have this other committee for you. And so finding people like Erica who are already doing this work, they have the skills in place, they have the motivation in place, and now you're just throwing gasoline on their fire to say, hey, we want to help you do this, but at an even bigger level. I think that's such a key to success. Are there other like tips that you might give to other communities thinking about doing this kind of program to really make it work and to really leverage it for what it can be?
I think one of the things that worked best for us was to sit down one-on-one with each hype team member and say, what are some of your favorite businesses, or what's your availability? And meeting them in the middle of, yes, we want to maybe do a special feature on one of these brand new businesses that just opened, but if it's not up their alley, or they're maybe not going to go to a kids clothing boutique if they don't have children, finding what really suits them, and they're going to be more successful and more likely to cover it authentically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You mentioned 2 other programs. Talk to me about those.
So we were able to bring in the Greater Lansing area moms. They are what you might call a mommy blogger group, but they have a website, a newsletter. They cover all kinds of events, activities that are family friendly in the Lansing area. And I had worked with them before. They are amazing. So they did a feature for us, and they did a whole summer long campaign where they came to Owosso. They visited the different businesses, different points of interest, like our Kerwood Castle. We had our Steam Railroading Institute. There's just a bunch of different stops that they made. And then they covered that on their blog and in their newsletters. And we're directing the Lansing area families to come visit Owosso as a day trip. So it was a day trip destination blog feature is what that program was.
I just love that we're seeing this repeated theme that in marketing, especially if you're starting new and you're trying to build an audience, you have to connect with the people who already have an audience. Who are the people that would come here? Moms looking for family stuff to do. You find your mommy groups and you say, hey, mom groups, you've got a following of 5,000 or 1,000 or 500 or whatever it is. Let's help each other. Boom. Now you've got an audience that you are reaching that you couldn't have reached in years if you're just randomly posting to Facebook and hoping that people would find it. I love it. What about this third program? Tell me about that.
Hashtag Explore Owosso Passport Program. So we selected 9 different iconic spots in downtown to make a passport. And so imagine if you went to the fountain, you had to get a photo, post on social media, do hashtag Explore Owosso and tag us. But every destination, every photo op location was associated with a business, and that business would look at the photo and stamp their passport to verify that they did that post. If you did 3 posts, you qualified for a downtown Owosso swag item, like a slap koozie is what we did. And if you did 6, you got a Bluetooth speaker. 9, you got the thermal water bottle. But for each level that you completed and you turned in your passport, you were able to enter a drawing. So the Vibrancy grant was able to support us to purchase these gift packages at different price points, but from the downtown businesses. So often we're having to ask for donations for prizes and for gift baskets. And this time we were actually able to purchase those prize items. It was amazing to walk into a business and say, hey, we're doing this thing. And they're like, yeah, here you go. And I'm like, no, I'm going to pay you. Like, we're going to support you and be able to purchase these items. And so we had some downtown Owosso swag to give away from those passports, but also some gift baskets of goodies from all the downtown businesses.
I love that idea of supporting the local business. A friend of mine owns a coffee shop in Bay City, and the other week on Facebook, he was kind of cracking a joke about it being like Little League season.
Yeah.
And how many calls for donations he was going to get that week. And he had this running total. And by the end of the day, it was like 8. And then it was 14. And then it was 17. And great guy. He donates. But it does say something, especially as a local business who typically like not rolling in cash. Like, we don't have $100,000 of disposable income. We can just, sponsor and give away all these things. And so if you come to me and you say, hey, can you help us? And I want to support you as well. I mean, that one makes me more likely to want to buy in, but it also makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm being invested in it. Very cool.
Yeah.
I also love the idea here, like, everybody knows working in communities, it's a lot of work, and you're usually not just doing one thing. You're not just the marketing person for the community. You're also administering all of these other things. And so you're essentially increasing your capacity by saying, hey, people already making content, can I pay you to make more content? And hey, people with the blogs, can I pay you? And hey, small businesses, can I pay you? And now you've essentially created this team that lightens the load on you as a director, increases capacity. It's not Lizzie running around with her phone all day, every day, or camera creating all this content. It makes it more sustainable that way.
100%. And I was just getting settled into my role. Like, I had just started and this opportunity came up, and it, capacity wise, was a game changer. And it introduced me to so many more people in the community. I was actively reaching out with this really cool opportunity saying, hey, someone recommended you. Would you like to do this thing? And then we were able to make connections, build relationships from there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's shift gears a little bit into something that we didn't plan on talking about until we chatted before we hit record. And the Match on Main grant. Give me kind of the environment, the circumstance of your Match on Main grant, how you used it, and then we're going to dive in. So tell me about your Match on Main grant.
Our Match on Main grant that we were just awarded is for Oak and Ivory, one of our boutiques, is really for this particular project was to support this young entrepreneur, small business owner who was expanding. She had a very tiny space with women's clothing, and she's now expanding into a much larger location right around the corner and going to be offering menswear. And she's in her early 20s, so this is a huge support for someone like her.
Erica, how do you we talk in our communities, like, how do we get more businesses here? How do we keep local businesses here? And how do we get more people here? And how do we keep our young people here? How do you see something like a Match on Main grant specifically supporting young entrepreneurs, checking both of those boxes in Owosso?
Yeah, so I feel like, if someone decides that they're not going to leave right after high school and go straight to college or move to a different city, but they decide to stay in their hometown, they probably have an opportunity to make their town what they want it to be. And so sometimes that looks like opening up a business that you want to see. My really good friends that own Foster Coffee Company here in Owosso, that's what they did. And that's what they talked about when they opened up their coffee shop. Was they thought about taking their idea of a coffee shop to a bigger city at first. And then they realized, why don't I just do it here? Because I really just want my city to be a place that I enjoy, to have a place to gather and, a good community, like central spot for people to come and enjoy coffee and food. So they created that, and I think that's happening in a number of the businesses downtown. We have really young entrepreneurs that they didn't leave right away, and they stayed and they thought, hey, like maybe I want to open up this place instead.
And Foster Coffee it's a vibe. Like, they absolutely crushed it. Every time I'm in Owosso, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to swing by Foster Coffee just because it has. I don't want to describe it as like a big city feel. Like, I want to describe it like a very well done coffee shop. Like, it's just operating at a very high level. And this idea of, I interviewed somebody a couple weeks ago, and they said, if we have good ideas and then we take them someplace else, we're left with communities without good ideas.
Right.
And that's such a great point. If we want to have good things and we want to improve and we want to grow and have better things, we have to give people a reason to stay. And I love what, like, Match on Main saying, we want you to stay here, we want you to grow, and so we will then support you. We can't just say, hey, young people, you should stay here and not move someplace else. Best of luck to you. We have to do something as a community, whether it's in funding or in just vocal support or in-kind services or something, to say, we want you here. Foster Coffee, you're important. The boutique, like, hey, we want to support you. We want to keep you here. You're important to us. And so here's funding that you wouldn't be able to receive otherwise. Start your business. We need it here. I think, Lizzie, when we were talking earlier, you also mentioned about, like, legacy businesses, young entrepreneurs taking over legacy businesses. Talk to me about that.
So we've had a few businesses that once their owner was ready to retire, they put it up for sale, and we had some young people take them on. So we have a records shop, Around Midnight Records, that has been in the community for a couple decades, I believe. And one of our board members of the DDA in Owosso Main Street is the owner of that shop. He took it on. It's right in downtown. It's called My Favorite Store, MI, like Michigan. And that was formerly Apple Tree Lane, but it's primarily Michigan-made products and candy. And I feel like I'm missing another. Oh, Fitness Coliseum is a gym, and that was located outside of town. And the owner took it over in 2018 and brought it to downtown Owosso. So these are businesses that have been in the community for years, and they're staying here just with new ownership, fresh ideas.
Yeah, Fitness Coliseum was great. I was there taking photos, doing an interview, and felt a little bit of shame. It's been a couple of years since I've been in the gym, but man, if I was going to go back into the gym, I'd want to go to Fitness Coliseum because the vibe is great.
Yeah.
Very welcoming. Sometimes the CrossFit kind of style scene can be super intimidating for folks. Look at all these; it's so intense. But man, you walk in there and it's such a vibe.
Yeah.
It's very community feel, and you lose a business like that. And even if you don't go to that gym, the community as a whole loses something very important. And this idea of not only supporting new businesses through Match on Main grants and really getting their feet under them and putting those roots down, but also saying, hey, how can we keep legacy businesses here that have been taken over by young entrepreneurs so that they don't get tired or they don't get overwhelmed and then say, well, this isn't what I wanted or this isn't working. I really, really love it. I want to thank you guys for this conversation. I want to thank you for the time. I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing in Owosso, obviously benefiting the community in so many ways. But I think this conversation specifically has so much potential to benefit so many of our communities in saying, one, you got to be part of Michigan Main Street. It just opens up not just funding opportunities, but technical assistance. And you have this team of experts to come in and say, hey, are you struggling with vacancy? We've done this in 30 other communities over the last 20 plus years, and it's worked. Let us help you. And become part of Michigan Main Street, but then also like the marketing tips and being creative and how you can take $2,000, a relatively small sum, but if you're creative and you fill a need in the community, you can amplify that to $17,000. That's such a huge, huge return on an investment. So I want to thank you guys for the time today. If people are like, oh my goodness, I want to check out Owosso, downtown Owosso, where can they find you on the internet, social media, website?
DowntownOwosso.org is our website, and Downtown Owosso on Facebook and Instagram.
Do it, people. I was, the last time I was in Owosso, it had been a bunch of years since I had been there. And I walked into Owosso not really knowing what to expect, and it blew me away. Super cool shops, super cool downtown, people that care about their community deeply. So yeah, if you do have a chance to visit them in Owosso, please do. Lizzie, Erica, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.